91 on Monday the 9th of June 2014. I am your host Stephen Layton. Welcome to In My Mug, and let's do the news. Okay, let's not mess about, let's get into this news. I am off to Italy this week. I'm going to be emceeing the World Barista Championships, which I did last year in Melbourne and had a lot of fun. This time it's in Rimini. What's also exciting, we have 5 competitors using our coffee in the finals. We have Ireland using the Ethiosar that we had last week, just that Peter's using the wash, not the pulp natural that we had. We have the Costa Rican champion, who is the daughter of the owner of Don Mayo. So guess what she's using? She's going to be using Don Mayo. We have the French barista champion using our coffee, who's also using Don Mayo. He's using the Bella Vista. Very exciting. We have the UK champion Maxwell, go Maxwell, using the Limoncello Longbri Funky for his cappuccinos, and we have the Hungarian champion who is using the Birka Bourbon Natural. So we have a heap of people using our coffee. By this time next week they'll have all been decided and done, but until then we wish them the very best of luck, and go everyone. We are only 9 away from a huge landmark in My Mug, the landmark of 300. Trust me, 299, 301, we have some huge coffees for you. I'm warning you this as it's 10 weeks away, and some of you may be thinking of subscribing. There has never been a better time than today to subscribe to In My Mug. If you want to get value for money out of a subscription, subscribe today. The next 12 coffees will blow your mind. It really is that good. And if your subscription is coming to an end in that point, I'm warning all of you dedicated In My Muggers, do not let that subscription lapse. You will miss out terribly. Chemex mugs, they're on the site. They are the bomb. You need one in your life. We also have some milk and creamer pot things, which I've been using actually as a carafe, and then they're using the top as a cup, but go look on the site at those. And that was the news. We should move on quickly to focus on, and something that is very serious focus on, and it's Roya, sometimes known as leaf rust. So Hamelia vastrix is a fungus that causes coffee rust, which is kind of like its common name, but it's Roya, known in coffee producing countries. It's a disease that devastates the coffee plant. The coffee serves as a host for the rust to actually live on. The rust has to live on an Arabica plant and have physical contact in order to survive. It looks like a yellow, powdery kind of substance, and it looks like rust, and hence its name. And it appears on the underside of leaves. It's a disease that originates from Africa, but has moved into originally South America. So Colombia was one of the first places I really began to hear a lot about rust, but now moved its way through Central America. So much so, Guatemala last year announced a state of emergency over it. On my trip in January, I started in Costa Rica, and I was asking them about leaf rust, and they're like, no, we don't really have any problems here. It's not been a little bit, but nothing too bad. Then I went to Guatemala, where they had the state of emergency the year before, and they were saying, yeah, we've had some problems, but it's kind of under control. And then El Salvador, where this week's coffee is from, and hence me talking about it, it was completely ravaged. So badly, it was actually really quite upsetting. I got really quite upset on some of the farms there, just to see how poorly they all looked. And it's really affected the yields from the farm. So for instance, this week's coffee is from Fany. It's 40% down on last year. But farms like Finca Argentina, it's 90% down. And the worst part, it's not their fault. Both of those farms sprayed antifungal spray, have looked after the plants, have tried to keep it as low as possible. But it's because it's a wind-borne disease. Neighbouring farms who don't care are infecting the farmers who do care. It's a real problem that we have. Yields are down. Like El Salvador, we're going to have hardly any coffee from there, and considering how much we bought in the past, it's been really sad. And we've had to find some new farms as well, just to try and find some more coffee. So it's a really sad focus on, I'm afraid. But we should get on to this week's coffee, because that will hopefully make us a little happier. So the farm is El Salvador Fany. It's been producing coffee in El Salvador since 1870, so it's one of the oldest farms that we buy from. and it's belonged to the same family from generation to generation going on, so always had the same family involved in the farm. It's situated on the Santana volcano, that infamous, famous Santana volcano, and the farm provides work for 24 families and stretches 27 hectares, and it's part of what they call it the biological corridor that runs from Mexico to Panama, and it's part of that mountain range there. It's 100% Bourbon, of which nearly 70% of El Salvador's coffee is Bourbon. Hence the Roya being a problem. Roya really seems to like Bourbon. And there's not a lot of coffee diversity in El Salvador. You have Bourbons, you have Pacamaras, you have Pacas, and then you'll have a few other bits. Bourbon is a tough varietal to grow. It's susceptible to stuff like that. It's always lower yields anyway, and it's just anything that comes along, it tends to pick up worse than anything else. But the cut profile is amazing, and this is why I love El Salvador, because they have some absolutely delicious, stunning coffees. And the Fany is definitely one of my all-time faves, and I've said a few of that recently, but we've had Limoncillo, we've had Cachoeira, we have La Fany. These are staple coffees that I'd be really sad if we lost. I remember roasting this coffee for the first time back in my garage at home when Has Been was starting. It was the first relationship, it was the first people that I really knew from Origin, along with Gabrielle. These were, super important milestones for me building Has Been. I was lucky enough to meet Rafael and Carmen back in 2008 on my first trip to El Salvador, which was pretty immense, and then in 2012 and 2013, and I also went this year. It's become one of the highlights of my trip, as not only do I get to visit some of my favourite farms, some of my favourite people in the world. Carmen and Rafael have become really, really good friends, really close. We talk a lot on email all the time, and Carmen is she's lovely. She really, really is super, super special. It's a testament to the work that they do. This coffee year on year gets better and better and better. They're investing in the farm all the time, and 2 years ago they invested in buying their own mill, improving the facility so they had control over everything, and the mill is just stunning. It really is a sight to behold. Everything it's clean enough to eat your dinner off. Everything is just run military. Everything, they know where everything is, and I am convinced that clean mills and clean farms end up with good coffee. If you don't get that part sorted, you're never going to get delicious and tasty coffee from a farm. So, and that's something that they've, Rafael, he is such a perfectionist. You can see he is on every single detail. So we should look at the details of the farm, because we're talking about details. It's called Finca La Fany. It's owned by Carmel and Rafael da Silva. The mill is in the city of Arshapan in the Apaneca mountain region. It is 27 hectares. No, it's 20 hectares, sorry. Is it 27 hectares or 20 hectares? I can't remember. Anyway, we'll forget that one. We'll move on very quickly. Has an altitude of 1,450 metres, which is not high for Santana. It is the Bourbon varietal, and it is a fully washed coffee. So we should definitely go and see what daft fact Roland has for us today, and I'm sure it will be daft. El Salvador was involved in the famous 100-Year War with Honduras in 1969. Very few people know that this was started all over a football match. That's the problem with the World Cup, Yeah, Roland doesn't like football very much. He will use any excuse to say that it's a terrible, awful, horrible thing. So, what we should do in the meantime, we should whap you on pause. I should go on a train, and I should go to Mrs. Ather's, the home of this month's guest blend, and we should taste La Fany with them, and maybe taste their blend too.
Waving and always smiling. Yeah, that's me, waving, smiling Steve. So up and away, and we're going up into the sky. And this week we are going to be going to the space. No, we're going to go to our left and we're going to go across the Atlantic Ocean and we're going to one of my favourite parts, Central America. We have so many amazing coffees from Central America, but I have a special love for El Salvador. El Salvador is a tiny, tiny country, and it means you're never more than an hour away from a good steak. This is important when you're travelling. These are the important things. So the fact this week is El Salvador is the only country in Central America without an Atlantic coastline, which means that everything has to go through the Pacific, which means everything takes longer to get out of El Salvador. Damn you, El Salvador! But now we're going to go down and we're going to scroll right down to El Salvador La Fany. And you can see there's the farmhouses there. We get a really good view of the farm. You can see kind of how it's split into different lots and different sizes. But you can also see the sea from there as well. And I'm going to kind of whiz down in a minute and get you a view of the sea. But you can see this is the spine of farms that we buy from. So we buy from a very specific region. Everything seems to be along that Apaneca mountain range corridor, and there is the farmhouse, so there's an even better view of it. And you can see how they've split up the plantation to help mark out where they've picked and where they've been working. And then if we scroll down, you can see that's the mountainside. And there's a topography chart. You see, we're getting really posh now. The lowest point is the Pacific Ocean, and the highest point is only 2,730 metres. But there's a lot of high points all around El Salvador. And as we whiz around here, there's the sea I promised you. So you can get a really good view of the Pacific Ocean there. I've been swimming in that sea as well. It's a beautiful bit of coastline. It really is pretty. And that was the wonderful, wonderful map bit.
So hello, we're back. I'm joined by Matthew Van Elken.
Yes, correct.
And I'm here at Mrs. Ather's, this month's guest blend on the site. So the espresso subscription that you can sign up to if you're not doing In My Mug, but if you're on In My Mug, you should buy it definitely. We're going to try the shots and the cappuccino of the house blend first of all, and then we're going to try the In My Mug that we're doing that we've been talking about before. So we're going to dive into the espresso first of all. So the blend is a blend of Rwandan
and Indian currently, 50-50.
Which is a pretty strange blend.
Yeah, the Indian was a bit of a surprise to us when we were sort of getting the new test blends through, and we realised there was an Indian in it. We were all really quite shocked because it's got such a lovely sort of chocolatiness to it that I've never sort of had from an Indian coffee before.
I think the beauty of it as well, it's got a really good base. It's a really good kind of earthy kind of base with that sweetness.
It's got that sweetness in the body just to give you the sort of groundings for whatever else you want to put on top of it. And I think the Rwandan on top of that has just sort of lifted it a bit and brought more complexity and depth to it.
Well, that Indian's grown at 800 metres above sea level, so it's actually really low. For a specialty coffee, that's super low. It's as low as you're going to go. And it's a Peabody. And Peabody's generally I don't think make great espresso, but this is just perfect in there.
It's good, yeah. It just sort of balances out perfectly with that Rwandan. It just creates such a good base. I definitely think it's the best base of all the blends that we've had so far. It just is so solid that,
But the beauty of that, with the Rwandan, it just lifts it up as well. It gives it that little bit of florality, a little bit of acidity.
Yeah, that brightness, the sort of caramel notes coming through.
And the espresso is just so complex.
Yeah, there's so much to it. And the further you get down it, the more there is, the more it gives you.
I love it. I think it sums up for me, and don't take this the wrong way, I think I've put it in this question, it sums up Mrs. Atkins, and it's like, you won't follow what everybody else does, you'll do your own thing.
And every time you look at somewhere there's something else, and I think that's what it does, and it sort of reflects us in that way as well, because every time you look around here you'll notice something else.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful shop.
There's always something else you'll find.
But it's quirky as well. Yeah. It's quirky, and I don't mean that in a like you are just you do your own thing, you do what you want to do, and I think it's beautiful to find a shop that has the confidence to do that. It's awesome. I love the espresso. I'm going to try it in milk. I actually sack the juggler. I've just had a cappuccino of this while sitting here, and it's delicious. I mean, the Indian just makes it cut through the milk.
Yeah.
You taste coffee.
You can taste coffee, not just sweet milk.
And so often the problem is you don't get to taste the coffee in the cappuccino. You taste all milk and nothing else. It's one of my favourite blends of the guest ones we've done so far. We didn't do well, which is one of my favourites as well, because it was that funky kind
that sort of funky weird.
But it was a original,
Rightness,
and
yeah.
that's the same with us. I love working with shops and give me a brief of saying, give us something a bit different, give us something, like, if you want the same, jailbreak is perfect.
Yeah.
You know, jailbreak or jabberwocky, you know, will fit your brief perfectly. But this is different, and I love it. If you're not on the subscription, you should definitely buy this before it goes off the site or runs out. So, yeah.
I'll come in and get back from the shop.
And come in and get a bag from the shop, or come and have a coffee in the shop, because if you're near to Leeds, this is somewhere you must visit. And I'm excited because Leeds for a long time just had opposite.
Yeah, there was opposite for sort of 10 years.
Yeah.
Opposite was around.
And Lou has done an amazing job
Lou's
at
great.
opposite.
She's lovely.
Yeah.
She's doing a great job with it. She's sort of brought that speciality to Leeds.
Yes.
And then I think with Lane's opening in a couple of years.
And Lane's is an amazing, another coffee shop that you
Another
have to
great
visit if you
shop.
come to Leeds. I love what they do at Lane's. Jim,
Yeah,
I'm a
Jim
big
and
fan of Jim.
Dave, yeah.
Yeah, they've done a great job in making something again that's their personality.
Yeah.
And you've got a little bit of a scene kind of.
We're getting, like with Bottega as well, and then there's us, and then we've got like the other guys sort of popping up and
There's somebody new opened this week here, isn't there? I was looking on Twitter on the way up, and somebody was mentioning there's a coffee shop opening here this week. I think it was Opposite that tweeted it, that somewhere.
It might have been the new Bottega.
Yes, it is. La Bottega, sorry, yes. Their second
unit
shop,
there,
yes.
Second
Yeah.
shop just opened last week. But yeah, it's a really cool little scene that we've got going on, and everyone's sort of jamming between each other as we all sort of throw ideas around and trying to bring something else that I think you don't necessarily find so much in places like London and like the other cities. Like the shops stick to themselves.
Do you know what it reminds me of a little bit? And somebody from Leeds will hate this, but it reminds me of what happened in Manchester.
Yeah.
There's that community,
Yeah.
people helping each other, and these new shops doing their own thing as well. It's awesome. Like, there is a coffee culture outside of London. Like,
Yeah,
and I harp on about that so much. It's like, London is not the end of the... M25 doesn't have special water that makes coffee brew better. In fact, quite the opposite.
Yeah, quite the opposite.
So, why Mrs. Athers? Where's the name come from? It's the thing I've always wanted to ask, and I'm sure like everyone's like, why? Well,
So, Mrs. Ather, she is a person, she does exist.
Okay.
She's just celebrated her 93rd birthday. She is Jonathan, Warren and Curtis, the three brothers that own the shop. She is their grandmother. So that is where Mrs. Ather has come from.
I love it.
She still pops in every now and then and has her cappuccino. She's,
the best.
yeah, she's great.
That is the best. That is really cool. We should try this week's coffee.
We should try this week.
The El
which
Salvador.
one's
This
it?
is El Salvador Finca Fany. It's from Santa Ana region, Apaneca Mountain Range in El Salvador. Owned by Carmen and Rafael da Silva. Farm's around about 14-15 metres. It's 100% red Bourbon. A farm I've bought from since 2004. I love this farm. I've been lots of times. I was there in January. It's a really cool farm. Really great coffee. It's got such a hilarious name as well. There are so many jokes you can make when, like, your Fanny drops out your roaster. You know, I'm roasting Fanny. It's red hot. Come get my red hot pan. Like, yeah, these are all
Endless.
Yes, endless
Endless
gags.
amounts of jokes.
Endless gags. But we should dive in before I turn the show X-rated. So we've got a Chemex of this. A great way to brew it. It's a perfect espresso. Like, I brought a couple of bags up so you can, once you
Yeah, we'll get it on.
make some, play some shops later, and you know you've got the EK43 here, so you can just drop some through. It's a great espresso because it's thick, caramel.
Yeah, so you can
sweet.
sort of get, like, from that Chemex, you've still got that body alkaline Chemexes make it a little bit cleaner, but it's still got so much body to it. It's
The
really
texture
thick.
is just
thick, like
huge.
syrupy, like it sticks to your mouth.
Exactly, and for me, melted caramel, it's a very simple coffee. There's not a lot of complexity in there. It doesn't need to be, it's just
It
delicious.
doesn't, it's delicious. It's one of those that you can just drink all day.
And it's a perfect
Sticks to
example
you.
of El Salvador.
Yeah.
And that is what El Salvador is about. It's about sweet, smooth, sticky, drinkable, enjoyable, and Bourbon. You know, it's all of the things that
That's
it's
El Salvador.
Yeah, exactly. And we're coming into El Salvador season now, so in 2 weeks' time our El Salvador container arrives, and we've got Santa Patrona coming back, we've got La Lujon coming
Yeah, I
back.
had that last year, that was excellent.
Amazing coffee. What else have we got coming? Siberia, which is Carmen and Rafael. They own Siberia as well.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, so that's one of theirs. San Catania is also one of theirs. Right, we should wrap up. Time to
Should wrap
finish.
up.
Thank you very much for hosting me today.
Thank you very much for coming. It's been
Thank you for letting me
have
do
you.
this blend. It's awesome. And do remember, life is too short for bad coffee.